Hello everyone, my name is Corbie Leiker and I am the art teacher at Mueller Aerospace and Engineering Discovery Magnet. Today we're going to be talking about weaving. Weaving is an art form that produces textiles or fabric by interlacing and interlocking of different fabrics. To do a weaving, you're going to need some basic tools. The most important tool is a loom, and this is what holds the fibers to weave the textile or the fabric. Now, depending on the size of loom that you have could give you a different type of textile or fabric. So using a tabletop loom, you could make a wall hanging or a tapestry like this one that is in the works, and a finished product could look something like this that you could hang up on your wall. If you had a larger floor loom, you could make weavings to produce textiles like blankets, rugs, and/or carpets. And if you don't have a wooden loom at your house, you might be surprised that you have a tiny loom in your kitchen that's waiting for you to make a weaving today. That tiny loom is actually going to be a fork. On the fork, we are going to be using the prongs of the fork to be the warp, which are the strings that go up and down. And then we can grab a variety of materials to act as our weft. So I found this shoelace that I thought the colors were interesting. I also found some pieces of grass outside, and I also gathered some scrap yarns that can be used as the weft as well. Your weft does not have to be these, it doesn't have to be limited to these, but we're going to be exploring how we can weave with these found objects in our home today. Just like when we're weaving on a tabletop loom, a cardboard loom, or a paper loom, we are going to be using our fork with the same pattern that we would use any other time we're weaving. We're going to be going over and under, and we're going to do this pattern all the way across. So we're going to take our first material. I'm going to go ahead and use the shoelace, and I want to go over this first prong because that's the warp with my weft, which is my shoelace. And so I'm going to slip it over, and then I'm going to skip the next prong, or I'm going to go under. Now it's a little tricky with the fork, so I'm going to kind of hold it and kind of wiggle it at the top, and then I'm going to scoot it down. So I'm going to go under or skip it. I'm going to go over again, and then I'm going to go under. And then instead of pulling the shoelace all the way through, I'm just going to scoot this down, check my pattern, over, under, and then I'm going to take my shoelace and I'm going to repeat the pattern all the way across and keep repeating that over and over again. Now, on the second time that we go, we're not going to go over and then under because we just did that AB pattern. This time we're going to switch it. So the opposite of over is under, and then we'll continue the pattern. So I'm going to take my shoelace, I'm going to move this to the side. I'm going to take my shoelace, I'm going to go under, and then over, under, and then over, and we've completed the second pattern. And then I'm going to go back to the very first AB pattern that we had, which is the over, and then I'm going to go under, over, under, and then over. So eventually you'll be seeing how some of them are raised and some of them are tucked, and if it's opposite, you're doing the pattern correctly. So I'm going to flip it and keep going. And once I get it to the top, we have our tiny fork weaving. So now that our tiny fork weaving is done, you could keep this on your fork if you wanted to. However, you probably want to use your fork if it's from your kitchen to eat. If you had a plastic fork though, you could keep your tiny weaving on it and keep your little artwork. But it is okay that this weaving is not going to last. It's ephemeral. So once you make it, it can last for a little bit and then it's going to go away. That's what the word ephemeral means. It's not going to last for forever. So we can think of this tiny fork weaving as a way to practice if it's a utensil from your kitchen, or if it's a fork that you don't need to eat, then you could have a tiny little unique weaving. I have seen some really creative ways that artists and art teachers have experimented by putting things to save their weaving just for fun, like pieces of food and or finding little ways to make sculpture stands for them. So I would love to see you experiment and come up with a way that you could preserve your tiny fork weaving and display it. All right, so if you want to try with some other items around your house. Maybe you are really interested in experimenting with some items from nature that you found outside. So I wanted to try weaving with these pieces of grass. And with this, I'm also going to use the pattern of over and under each time, since this is my weft, and we're weaving it onto our warp or our prongs. Now with the grass, the texture is a little slick, so I want to be really gentle, and I'm going to go from the top and then I'm going to gently slide it down, kind of like you would do on a tabletop loom or a cardboard loom as well. So I'm going to go over the first prong, and then I'm going to go under my warp. I'm going to go over and then under, and then I have to be really gentle as I slide this little blade of grass all the way down. As you can see, the pattern has started to form with the warp and the weft with these items from nature. I think it would be really interesting to find some different items from nature and or different colors of green or different shades. As you can see, I only have one shade of green, but using a variety of objects or colors could add a lot of dimension and make your weaving a little more dynamic. I'm going to go ahead and start showing you what it could look like by using some fiber and some different items found in your home as well. Maybe you're interested in experimenting with some string and or some items found around your house that are more fibrous. So I have a variety of colors here to play with, and I'm going to still be using the over and under pattern and then flip it as I go back and forth across my warp. So I'm going to start over with my wefts, and then I'm going to go under, going to slip it over and then under. And depending on your string size, you could leave it hanging out as so, or if you wanted to take it and keep using that color, we can go back the other way. So I'm going to go back with this string. I'm going to go the opposite. So over, because I just went under. Gonna have to use two hands. Gonna go over and then under. And I've got a little bit more string left, but I'm gonna leave this because I wanna switch to a different color. We ended going under the warp, so I'm gonna go over and then under, over, then under. I'm going to kind of just hold the extra strings behind the fork so I can focus with this hand. And I'm going to use this color since I've got a lot of string and keep the pattern going. All right. And with the fiber or string option, this is a great way to practice using fibers, and this can be just for fun and for practice since we have some of the yarn hanging out on the back, or if you wanted to cut them, and again if you are not going to be using your fork to eat off of, you could glue or tape them to the back so that you can permanently display your weaving, or you can treat it just as practice and take your yarn off and then try again with the items from nature and or try again with shoelaces or anything else you found around the house that could act as your weft. So that concludes today's art making. Thank you so much for participating and trying something new, and I hope you had a lot of fun making your tiny fork weavings.